everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Alex, and today begins a fun little reading vlog for The 10,000 Doors of January by Alex E. Harrow. I have been looking forward to picking this book up for some time, and normally I would give a very brief description in my own words of what I believe this book is about, but the description on the back is actually quite short, so if you don't mind, I'm just going to go ahead and read it to you. As the ward of the wealthy Mr. Locke, January Scholar feels little different from the artifacts that decorate his sprawling mansion, carefully maintained, largely ignored, and utterly out of place. But when she finds a strange book, one that tells a tale of secret doors, of love, adventure, and danger, for the first time, January realizes she can escape her story and sneak into someone else's. What a wonderful premise. Now, one thing I'm hoping to do that'll help you relax along with me is I'm going to kind of create a little bit of an ambiance. I had a rather rough day at work, and something that I do to help me relax is I will actually set up candles around my office and I'll read by candlelight. So you're going to get to see a little bit of that, as well as some cute little Halloween tea light candle holders that I just bought, and I think you all will probably really like them. Just going to sit down and I'm going to get some reading done, and I'll let you know my initial thoughts. There is honestly so much going on in this book, and you really get a sense for January's emotions. Like, this is written very eloquently, very poetically. The loneliness is like palpable, like I can practically taste it. It is painful to feel the degree of emotion that she has, and also to feel the sense of hope and longing for her to get out of her current situation. Honestly, it's almost criminal how well this book is written. I really love Harrow's prose. This is my first experience reading an Alex E. Harrow book. As of right now, and I'm on page 134 of 371, I would say that I recommend this book. Now, of course, there's still a lot of story left, and I have no idea what's going to happen. I'm trying to figure out exactly what it is about this book that people have disliked, because if I continue to go through and I like the way that it's written, and I, even if I'm reading things that are hard to read, find that it is well done, I definitely want to go back and read the reviews that other people have left, either on like Amazon or Goodreads, just to see what people are saying, because I didn't want any spoilers. I didn't want anybody else's opinion tainting my opinion of this book. I knew that it had mixed reviews just because of things that I've heard, but I wasn't actively seeking any sort of feedback about the story, because I always like to have my own opinion and draw my own conclusion. I really love the premise of the story, although I wouldn't say that it's unique. I mean, the idea of a door opening to another world is something that has been done time and time again, and that's actually something that is referenced in here. Harrow actually references different stories and mythologies throughout our history that reference magical doors, and that's to imply that they're real, that there's a reason why we always tell these stories, and that's because there is a hint of truth, and that these doors are very difficult to find, but if you find one, it really will lead you to a magical place. And I'm really excited to see where this goes. I will say that it is a slow story. I think it's because of the level of description and amount of detail that is being paid to building the story and building the world. This is not one that, at least for me, that I could go rushing through and just experience it like it's just some fun, mindless story. This is one that takes time to process and to appreciate and to just let sink in for a second, and I don't know, maybe that's what people didn't like about it. I'm honestly not sure, but I'm gonna keep reading and I will get back to you shortly. So some time has passed. I've officially finished the 10,000 Doors of January. I understand now why some people didn't like this book. But before I get into that, I want to show you some footage from going to my very first ever Renaissance fair, because reading a portal fantasy like this, I felt like it was only appropriate. Now, my expectation for the fair was, of course, that people were going to be dressed up, obviously, so I decided to dress up a little bit myself. I thought that it was going to be like tents and small stalls for the vendors, only to walk in and realize that it's a full frickin' village that just stays like this year round. And I got to immerse myself in this fantasy world while contemplating my feelings about the 10,000 Doors of January, and it seemed like the perfect place to do so since I also walked through a doorway and into another world. They really had it all. They had archery on horseback and a pirate ship where they would do like choreographed battles. They had falconers who came and were showing off their different kinds of birds. They had a lot of vendor stalls and, of course, spirits of a wide variety for you to keep yourself cheery while you walk around in the heat. Now, I don't know about you, but much more important to me whenever I go to any sort of festival, instead of buying souvenirs, I'm gonna eat my way through the festival. That to me is the best way to spend any day. The 10,000 Doors of January, though, significantly less fun to show off, mostly because my opinion of it changed drastically since you last saw me reading it. I'm going to begin my official review of this book by telling you that I completely misinterpreted what this story was about. I went on Goodreads to look up some other people's reviews and I discovered that I wasn't the only one. I thought that this was about a young girl, like child age, you know, like 7, 8 years old, who ends up discovering a book, and she walks around the mansion of this man who takes care of her, and she opens up different doors and she steps through them into alternate worlds and has all these different misadventures. This is far more the story of a young woman named January. There are moments from her childhood, but the bulk of the book takes place when she's 17 years old. And it's about her being cast from her home and being on the run from these wealthy and powerful people who essentially want her to join their shady organization. This is a sad tale of an in-between main character. Now, January self-describes her that way because she is somebody who her skin tone would make her appear to be a person of color, but nobody knows exactly what race or ethnicity she is, not even January. She grows up in this household of this wealthy white businessman. She is completely isolated from everybody in society. She essentially has no friends except for one young boy who works at a grocery store. And it's about her loneliness and what it's like for her when she's no longer a protected member of society after she has to essentially escape from home. I'm extremely conflicted about what to rate this book because you heard me talking about it prior where I was like, oh, I really love the beautiful language and it's slow, yes, but Harrow is taking the time to describe the world in great detail. She has all this world building, and she did. She had like a painstaking amount of detail that she put into this book. And that is not a bad trait for an author or for a book to have, but the problem comes when the story continues to progress and you get to the rising action and all of a sudden there's a pace change because now everything seems like it's rushed, which is exactly what happened here. It's like Harrow began this novel with this really excellent and well thought out idea of a world that she wanted to create, but she didn't know how to reach the climax in a compelling way. The magic system is laid bare in here where you get all of the details of exactly how it should work, and so it became really frustrating when the classic YA trope happened where January is able to break a rule of the world. And I personally don't think that that's a spoiler to tell you because I haven't explained anything about how the magic system works, so you don't know what rule it is that she broke. But that was something that was really irritating because she did it with little effort in almost no time with no formal training. She's basically the chosen one. Wonderful. I didn't think that this was that kind of book. And the worst part of it was January even understood that she was breaking the rules of the world because she told other characters how she shouldn't be able to do that. Harrow included this rule that should be impossible to break, but then included a loophole so that January could. And I understand what Harrow was trying to do, so it's not really a decision that I'm mad about, but I felt like it was cheap. The reveals weren't shocking because all of them were telegraphed and that ruined the mystique, and I kept hoping that there was going to be some grand twist, but one never came. I will give credit to Harrow that she did have January ask herself the question, are you really surprised? 2 different times in the book, and of course both times the answer was no. It's important for me to note that this book is not being told as it's happening, it's actually being told after everything has already happened. So January is recounting her experiences in these moments, and it's almost like she's kind of wanting us to see how naive she was. And if we look at it from that lens, it might not necessarily be clever, but you could at least say that it's justified. One element that I did really enjoy was there's this burgeoning romance between January and another character, and it is very innocent and it's very natural, which is something that I appreciated, so that's my one truly positive note. Would I recommend this book to you? Not necessarily. If you're somebody that really loves portal fantasy and you like portal fantasy of all kinds, you might really enjoy this. There are plenty of people who really love this book. It is solidly written. It's by no means a bad book. It's just not one that I'm going to go and rave to people about. This isn't a book that I'm standing in a bookstore and somebody is asking for a fantasy recommendation and I go, oh yes, you should read The 10,000 Doors of January. That said, I am still interested in reading her other book, The Once and Future Witches, because a lot of people also read that one. I'm not sure if that one was as divisive as The 10,000 Doors of January, but I'm hoping that I'll have better luck. So overall, I'm going to give this just a nice solid 3 stars. And with that, that is the end of my reading vlog. I really hope that you've enjoyed this video, or if nothing else, that you at least enjoyed seeing the Renaissance Fair. Let me know down below in the comments if you've ever been to one, and if you also like to eat your way through festivals. As always, I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day or evening, that you all stay safe out there, and I'll see you next time.